Whoa.
I'm here with Politics on Right and
welcome
Naomi
to
Klein. Naomi, one of the
that's
best.
that's not what we want yet. Welcome to one more edition of Politics on Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. What is the title of the show? Esta mañana, esta tarde, this afternoon, we are going to have a great show. Title of the show is what? Bernie or bust? No. Continue to earn the vote as we did in Nevada. Folks, that was a huge win in Nevada. Don't let anybody take that away from what occurred out there, folk. It was one of those transformational wins because the plutocracy was able to use a whole lot. Again, the plutocracy was able to use a whole lot of false information, not false information. Bruce Pollard, no Bernie or bust. Absolutely not, my brother Bruce Pollard. We don't even have to go there, but we're going to talk about all of that. But folks, listen, here's the deal. They would have you believe, actually, you know what? Let's get the program started so that we can flow into it, and then we'll move on. Bernie or bust? No. Continue to earn the vote as we did in Nevada. That is the title of the show. The subtitle of the show, Bernie Sanders' resounding win in the Nevada Caucus proves the message is getting through. It's the time to transition from insurgents without losing the passion to become leaders of the political transformation. That is the magic, people. We are not here to play a game. We are not here to just win. We are not here to go ahead and say, oh, we want to have something big happen for the country. We are doing this because this is existential to the country. This is existential to the country. A win away from the plutocracy is existential. From a father of a daughter who had a stroke, who I spoke to this morning, 28 years old, doing much better, but still very weak, but getting herself together to continue her third year at med school. She said, Dad, those things from the 3 days that she stayed in ICU are starting to come in. The first bill, $72,000. There is absolutely no way she has insurance from the school, but of course some of that will be hers. 72. This what I am now. I left the company, become a political activist to help make a change. Who would have thunk it that fighting for Medicare for all was not only my passion because of what I saw having a wife with lupus, but also now having a daughter who had a stroke, and the first bill she's gotten is way larger than any bill my wife, who has lived with lupus throughout her life since having her daughter, my daughter Ashley, is now seeing a daughter who has gotten a bill. First bill. If that first bill is $72,000, we are talking over $100,000 for those 3 days and some subsequent follow-ups. It's existential. She can't pay it. She said, Dad, what am I going to do? I said, put those in a folder. Your dad is not a political activist. First of all, your fortune should not be lost in transferring your wealth to the plutocrats who own the hospitals, who own the drugs that we all, with our collectivism within our country, created. But what we have to do, people, is we have to surely show our people. We have to inform our people so that the lies that come from the plutocracy, making them a subservient people to the system, is not realized. It is so difficult to do, but it's something we have got to do. Folks, it is essential. It is existential that we do this. I have some videos that I have from Netroots Thank you very much, Lawrence Sim. You know, right now, I love the idea of people talking about prayers and that sort of stuff, right? Um, I love that. And please do. Let's pray for all of those who need prayers or whatever it is that consoles or whatever it is that makes one feel good. But the plutocracy depends on us saying, let's pray for something. That is what the plutocracy wants to hear us say. What I want to hear us say going forward is not, let's pray that all is okay. I want us to stop thinking solely about prayer. I want us to start thinking about action. I tell you something about Las Vegas. I just got back. That is why we were sort of spurious with our programs. We had a couple of programs that were done live, but not completely, how should I say, as one would expect. But one of the reasons we did that, and I'm queuing a few other programs here, folks, so bear with me as I do that. As I tell people all the time, we were programmed into taking crap. And I want to give a good example of the crap that we were programmed to accept as somehow valid. And I'm going to get into the program further, but I need to tell you this. Whenever they tell you, and this is going on to Medicare for All, whenever they tell you Americans don't want, 146 million Americans don't want to lose their health care. No, they don't. They want choice. Why are you going to take those choices away from them? Don't you think they're smart enough to know their choices? Yes, Americans are smart enough to know their choices if they think they have one. If they think they have one that's going to work, if they think they have one that's not going to cost them $72,000 at first hand and $100,000 thereafter. That is what Americans believe. Okay? What we have today is a national fraud, not only in healthcare, but in just about everything that we do. And what we have to do is not pray. I love you, Lawrence Sims. I want you to pray for my daughter. I want you to pray for the daughters and sons and cousins and dads of everybody who is going through some sort of tribulation. But more so than prayers, what I want you all to do is activate. Let me tell you what happened in Nevada. In Nevada, after a friend of mine said, Egberto, good friend of mine, subscriber to Politics Done Right. He said, Egberto, we are going to Las Vegas. I'll handle the ticket, lodging. We are going. He called me first. And I said, hermano, we are on our way. We are on our way, hermano. We are on our way. And we went to Nevada, and all of us, we had a 4-person crew. Todos somos Tres somos Latinos y mi hermano, my friend, all 3 of us are Latin Americans. And my friend is an American who speaks Spanish fluently. And we went. And we stayed in front of that market. And we stayed in front of that market and we spoke English and Spanish as needed to the hundreds of people that came out of that market. And the one thing we saw when we came out of that market, brothers and sisters, the one thing we saw people that wanted. We saw people that needed. We saw people who were yearning to vote. I'm going to tell you a story that made me almost come to tears. We are in a Latin neighborhood, a Latino neighborhood. And that Latino neighborhood, we speak to everybody who's coming out of the store or going into the store. And there is this, there's this other woman that came out, a white woman came out, and I approached her. I first spoke to her in Spanish because you don't know if you speak to them in Spanish or English or whatever. So I spoke to her in Spanish, assuming that she was maybe a Latina from Argentina or something like that. And she said, I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. So I said, I started to go to her in English, and I explained to her Are you going to vote on Tuesday? Remember, there was early voting in Nevada earlier on where you could go at any time to vote like we do, similar to here in Texas. But on Saturday was there, what is it called? The caucus. So we tell her, but you need to go to caucus if you haven't voted in early voting. She said, this is a woman, she said, I work 7 days a week. Why can't I go to at whatever time I want to vote on Saturday? I'm like, no, for that, you had to do early voting. And she said, when is that? And I said, oh, ma'am, I'm sorry. Early voting, we got in there on Tuesday, the day that early voting closed. I said, ma'am, early voting is closing. Right now, we are canvassing for getting people to go to the caucuses. And she says, so how am I going to vote? How am I going to vote? It was heartbreaking to tell the woman, because she said, I work 7 days a week. And during the time of 12 and 2, I have to be at work. I have to be at work at that time. How am I going to vote? And then she started to cry. And then I almost cried. She's like, we have to get that guy out of there because nobody is there supporting us. That is what she said. You know, and I'm sitting down there trying to figure out if I could think of something to tell this woman. What could I possibly tell this woman? Because now, as it turns out, her vote will not count. She has no vote. She has no vote. This is one person. So I told her, ma'am, please remember this. We are going to do all that we need to do to attempt to get as many people to the vote as possible. That's why we're here from all over the country. I work with Leila Martinez out of New York. One of the best activists I've met. She should be on the Politics Done Right show on KPFT 90.1 FM tomorrow. So check that out. Listen to KPFT 90.1 FM. It's on 90.1 FM in Houston, but of course we're live streaming it on YouTube and everywhere else. Folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember, if we want to make an impact, our shows have to make it past the mainstream media. We have to share ourselves. We have to inform ourselves, because if you are listening to mainstream media today, you're listening to a set of people that are so scared of Bernie or so scared of Elizabeth that they think they're an existential issue to the country, which it is not an existential issue to the country. It means we are going to stop the ripoff by the plutocracy who extracts at will with the aid of the establishment of both parties. That is what we're up against. That is what we're fighting. Now, going back to the title of the show today, where we say the title of the show is Bernie or Bust. No, we don't want that. We don't need that. We don't need that threat. We don't. Nevada shows that when we respect the voter, when we inform the voter, there were hundreds of people from all over the country sprayed on Nevada. We were out there telling people, explaining Medicare for all. Remember, the culinary union, the people who control a whole lot of those workers in Las Vegas, on the Strip, thousands of workers. They told their people Medicare for all is bad for you. They told their people that you shouldn't be voting for that candidate that supports that policy. After all, we worked with those big shots to get you a good deal on Medicare, on medical insurance. So, let me tell you, we explained in detail that Medicare for all it's not an if or whatever. It is giving you coverage. When we explained to the people, what we did is we showed the people the truth. And we didn't show the people the truth by just spitting things out. We asked them questions. We respected their point of view. We said, what do you need from us to be able to explain to you what we're talking about? And you know what? They responded. That 51% Latino vote with all these candidates running was no accident. That 27% black vote, in as much as Biden has the Obama mystique on him for older black voters, and plus, Elizabeth Warren has a cadre of black voters and so forth. That was ordained by our work. That was ordained by the work of interested people in getting the message out. We are going to have to do the job. We don't need to go out there and be mad. We don't need to go out there and talk about, we need to go out there and have the bus. And we don't need to go out there and be mad at Biden supporters. We don't need to go out there and be mad at supporters from Buttigieg. We don't have to be mad at supporters from Amy Klobuchar. We don't have to be mad at anyone, because all the people voting are our people. Irrespective of who they're supporting, irrespective of the acrimony or the animosity that they put towards us, as now folks in the lead, as now folks who are finally getting their message out and getting their message across, I say this humbly. It is time, many times, where possible, to turn the other cheek, listen, and explain after you have listened correctly, entirely to those others. Because they are all our people. Those supporters of all the other candidates are our people, because they're going through the same tribulation. My daughter's $72,000 bill didn't know that whether she's a Democrat, liberal, Republican, or whatever, it affects everybody. And it is our job as leaders of a transformation of a system to go out there and make it clear that we are all in this boat together, and the plutocracy of both establishments are screwing us, and we are using the Democratic Party as the transport system to make a better America. Okay? Democrats must now be progressives, saving the middle class, saving the poor. For those that are privileged enough to be able to continue to have their brothers and sisters be extracted from, we continue to not be show any animus towards them, but we continue to move forward. We don't have to fight. We don't have to argue. We just have to do our job. That is how we are going to win. We're not going to allow the fallacies of a Bernie bust. We're not going to allow the fallacies that they come out there and talk about us. We're not going to allow the fallacies of, all these people are crazy, because you know what? I have, everybody know my bias. My bias is to the progressive candidates. My bias was always Bernie, Warren, Yang. Then now that Yang has dropped out, Bernie, Warren, Steyer. The people that are pushing Medicare for all, the people that are pushing values for America, the people that are saying, I am not going to let you go bankrupt, and I'm not going to try to first solve the problems of the plutocracy that they don't have before I take care of you. Scared that the hospital administrators cannot rip you off anymore, or that will continue to rip you off. I'm not there. Anyhow, after that big win, yours truly got an interview in Las Vegas, and I want to play that. They didn't do the best, but I just want to show the kind of positive coverage that, in effect, we as supporters, as people who were helping in Las Vegas, showed. So check this out. And folks, if you're just joining us, please share this program. It is essential that we do that. It is essential because the mainstream media, if you're listening to MSNBC, they're cratering. They're out there just lying about if what happens if Bernie is the nominee, how is it going to hurt down ballot? What they forget to tell you is this. If Bernie is the nominee, bringing in all them young people that are going to vote Democratic, unless the Democratic Party pisses them off and they just go not hit Bernie and leave. If you really want them to be hitting the down ballot, you go ahead and be respectful with the chosen candidate of the Democratic Party. Then they will support all the candidates of the Democratic Party. But when you have a Cuban representative saying, if Bernie wins, I lose, or when Bernie goes on to 60 Minutes and say, Castro did bad things, horrendous things. Horrendous things Castro did. But you know what? What did Castro do? He increased literacy. Was that a good thing? Yes, that's what Bernie said. What the hell did the mainstream media want to Bernie to answer for that charge question? You know, they're going to ask him about Castro, Russia, and all of that. Here's the deal, people. And let me tell you my spiel about Cuba. Because Americans have a tendency not to see things through the eyes of everybody. Let me tell you a little something about Castro, okay? Castro could have been an ally if we weren't plutocrats. Castro should have been America's biggest ally because he came here first. When Castro overthrew the government that had all those gamblers there and all these other people. Let me tell you a little something. People who looked like Egberto Willies were sweeping floors. When people who looked like Egberto Willies were garbage collectors and they were not doctors and lawyers and engineers. They were entertainers or sweeping floors. Oh, they could sing and they could dance. Just like it is over here or earlier I was over here. That's what we had in Cuba. When Castro took over, take a look at who are the doctors. Take a look at who are the lawyers. They may say, but look, they don't make a lot of money. And that's the funny thing that people don't get. People think that it's only money that makes somebody wants to heal somebody. Ask my daughter if that is true. People think that it's only money that makes somebody want to invent things. Ask many of those engineers from around the world who continue to make their bad countries invent good things. It's a fallacy. We love democracy, and that's what every one of us want, including Bernie. Democracy is loved, okay, by everybody. Nobody wants autocratic government. Nobody wants the autocratic government that we have today. Our government today is an autocratic government, antiseptically speaking, because we do it antiseptically. Everything the plutocracy wants, it gets. There are studies that show if Americans want something and corporations want something else, corporations, we cede our rights to the corporations. That's a fact. Look it up. So what we are trying to do is equalize the system. But anyhow, let me go ahead and show you the interview that I did with also Leila Leila, a great activist, and also we worked with Maruska, great activist from all over. But check this one out. I think this is it. Let's see.
250 caucus locations across the Silver State, about half of those here in Las Vegas.
We can just hear the excitement and cheers outside Rebar here in downtown Las Vegas. Many of the people here, volunteers participating in today's caucuses, many of them as well Bernie Sanders supporters who tell me they knew he would be the clear winner in Nevada. Sanders himself speaking to supporters at a campaign rally after the results came in.
We are going to win because we are doing exactly the opposite. We're bringing our people together.
That rally happening in Texas ahead of Super Tuesday, the same state where this Valley Caucus volunteer is from.
Most of the people there knew they were Bernies, and the ones that decided to go their second round, a lot of them finally realized that that was the candidate that best served their needs.
Nevada being the first Western state and the third state in the nation to make voices heard in the Democratic presidential primary process, there were 136 caucus locations in Las Vegas.
I just think that voting allows people the opportunity to have a voice.
Layla Martinez volunteered at multiple precincts on the city's east side today.
Two of the people that were supporting Warren, who was not viable, that precinct went to Bernie, and two women who were undecided previously.
And a lot of people we spoke with today say they're really glad that today's caucuses didn't turn out like the ones in Iowa. The AP still not able to determine a clear winner there. Reporting in downtown Las Vegas tonight, I'm Austin Carter, 13 Action News.
Okay, so I was happy. I mean, even though they didn't make the quote that I would have liked, that I made other quotes that I made in there. You know, the news was pretty darn positive in my humble opinion with respect to how Bernie has been covered elsewhere. So I was very happy with that. But I want to, you know, with all of this that we talk, right? I told you the story of my daughter having a stroke already. I also told you about the bills starting to roll in to let folks know that this is real. And I'm not just talking about this because now this has a material effect on me. I told my daughter, pack those bills up. Whatever portion they said that you're to pay at this point in time, pay none. I want to collect those, and I will be making an issue out of that. But before we go to the next video, I want to encourage all of you to become subscribers of Politics Done Right. I'm going to just take a minute and a half to try to ask you to become our subscribers. First of all, there are several ways that you can become a subscriber. One is you can go to our store, right? You can go to our store.politicsdoneright.com right there on the screen, store.politicsdoneright.com. If you are on YouTube, you can just click on that $ and give us a super chat. And if there is a specific message you want me to say out of that super chat, just say, Egberto, tell the audience this. But super chat me if you're on YouTube, so that you can help support us getting this message out. And again, we have this new t-shirt, I support independent media, with our logo on it. And of course, if you want to do a little teasing of El Señor Donald Trump, you can do that particular one that we have there that says, a guy who came in unconventionally should unconventionally leave as well. Anyhow, there are other ways to support us. First of all, to subscribe, and I'm going to put this inside of our notes. To subscribe, you can just go ahead and go to, for those who are listening on podcast, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. patreon.com/politicsdoneright. For those of you who would like to support our mobile upgrade fund, which allows us to do some of the things that we did in Las Vegas, but we didn't do any live transmission there because, again, we need more equipment. Go to gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Again, that is gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. And those of you who just want to make a contribution, you can always make the contribution to paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Again, that is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. And of course, to purchase at the store is where again? You go to store.politicsdoneright.com. And by the way, all of these can be accessed directly from Politics Done Right. Okay, let's get back to the show. So anyhow, we did some great work in Las Vegas and throughout Nevada. As it turns out, folks won Nevada like you would not imagine. Rural, every voter class we excelled in. So here's the deal. It is imperative that this continues, right? It is imperative that this continues. One has to understand that this is existential for most. People die. People are dying because we as people have allowed the plutocracy to lie to us. We have been gullible to the plutocracy. We have allowed them to tell us that 1 + 1 = 3. And there's a message that I want to send to the Bernie folks, all our folks out there, as far as explaining things to people. And it mostly goes like, it's just basic arithmetic. It's just basic math. But when I say it kills, this is what I mean. Listen to this story. It is essential.
Hello, ma'am. What is your name?
My name is Amy Valella.
Amy, you told a story here that was so touching about your daughter. I'd like you to give me a little synopsis about it. It turns out that your daughter was a victim of our immoral healthcare system. Tell me in a few words a little bit about that.
Yes, Shalyn was, she was 22. She was moving from Kansas City to Las Vegas to go to schooling. She was working 2 jobs as a CNA, going to school to become an RN. She had a blood clot in her leg. She went to the emergency room. She didn't know at the time that that's what it was. But she went to the emergency room with every risk factor and symptom almost that you could have for a blood clot. She was black on sickle cell, she had sickle cell trait, on birth control. She had a torn ACL that was was recovering, and she just drove 22 hours.
Which exacerbated the clot, exactly.
Right, well, which can cause a clot.
Right.
And her leg was red and swollen. These are all things that when she went to the hospital presented with, would have called for them to do some diagnostic testing, such as maybe a bedside ultrasound.
Right.
But instead of doing that, they told her to go get insurance and see a doctor that they weren't a doctor's office.
Right.
So Shalyn basically died because they did what's called a biopsy. She died in my arms at the age of 22, and she is a victim of our for-profit healthcare system. The fact that when she was there, they kept asking her about her insurance, telling her if she could leave was going to be very expensive. These were all things that led to her demise.
In other words, she should have been seen. She presented in a manner that was easily diagnosed, but because she did not have insurance, she didn't get it.
Yes. As a matter of fact, my sister's an RN. When I called, my daughter took a plane to go back to Kansas City, where my sister lives and practices. When I was on the phone with her after I found out Shalyn had gone into cardiac arrest, she just asked me, "Was anything happened recently?" And I was like, "No, except she went to the ER." And she's like, "What?" And I said, "Well, her leg was red and before I could even say swollen, she had the nurses on the other line at the hospital, and she's like, DVT, which is a blood clot."
Yes.
She was telling them immediately, just by the first couple words, she knew this is what's happening.
There is an irony to this whole situation, given your daughter's familial line. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. One of the things that they missed, actually, even in the ER, they had her listed incorrectly, but my daughter was black, and her great-grandfather, Roscoe Lewis McKinney, was one of the founders of the medical department of Howard University. He was the first black doctor of anatomy, and he fought through racism and all the other things he was going through at that period in time to actually participate in healthcare and become a physician. To have his great-granddaughter die because she could not get the healthcare that she needed is just irony in every way, shape, and form, and it's very sad. And to me, what is even more grotesque and sad is that Shalyn is not a tragedy. She's one of tens of thousands of people that die every year from a lack of health care. And I remember when I heard that, I knew at that point my life was going to change. So that's why I made the active decision to give up my career, to devote the rest of my life to make sure I was fighting for others and fighting for equity. Because once you see evil, if you do nothing about it, you're complicit.
I love that statement that she ended with, right? Once you see evil, if you do nothing about it, you are complicit. I tell you, folks, some people think I'll say it, some people think I'm stupid for giving up a whole lot for giving up my software company for doing this. What she said, when she said that, after I spoke to her, I went to her and I said, "Thank you for saying that, because you know what? It was reaffirming." Before I spoke to her, before we went on the camera, she also said, "Berto, I could not continue doing the things that I did before. I had to leave what I was doing." She had her own company as well. She said, "I had to do something. My daughter died." Well, in my case, yes, I had a wife with lupus, and yes, we understood what the medical system was. We always had insurance, but we understood how it was continuously creeping on you and how it was sucking your wealth, sucking whatever you had. Now I have a daughter, 28, who's had a stroke. It's sucking on whatever whatever start she would have, we have to have, we have got to get a system that doesn't suck the life out of people. We have got to get a system that doesn't suck the potential success of people. We have to get this. We need to, and that is what we did in Nevada. Those people got it. They finally felt they had worth. I had somebody on Facebook say, Bernie has been working those Latinos for a long time. And I'm like, yeah, you got to do that. It's about letting people know you care. It is about letting people know they're valued. It's about letting people know not only that they're valued, but that their vote can cause and effect a change. And that's not what we're seeing. All those others want a status quo. Oh, they want incrementalism. Like I told a friend just earlier today, he was talking to me on some issues. I said, you know what incrementalism is? For those that are comfortable just right now, they're comfortable now. Incrementalism says, don't rock the boat, don't change my comfort right now. But as soon as they are on the path of becoming uncomfortable, everybody, the common denominator is this, folks. As you have an economic system that extracts and extracts and extracts, it eventually has to eat you up. Now, it was easy to eat up black folk because, in effect, a lot of times you could say nobody cared, right? A black folk compared, oh, they're black folk. They don't compare. Then you started Latino folks getting demeaned as well. Oh, the farm worker, oh, nobody cares, right? But then, just like the black and the Latino and the other working classes got hit, once I told a friend, right, I said, the only time America responds, right, is whenever you hit people that look like the majority of America. And let me tell you something. This is very important. During Clinton's time of welfare reform, I had a good friend. And my friend, I told him, I said, when they start to go ahead and change the welfare system as Clinton was going to change it, government too big and all of that, I said, watch the face of welfare. Watch the face of welfare. And he said, oh, brother, you don't know what you're talking about. And as they were changing the welfare programs to satisfy a few, folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember to share. As they were changing welfare, the face of welfare on TV changed. There was a young white mother with her baby clutching the problems that she was having. And these were the type of commercials or the type of ads that you were seeing, right? Normally, the other type of ads that you're seeing is when somebody's using welfare, you see that minority person that comes out there, right? It's all pre-programmed to separate us. It's all pre-programmed to go ahead and put a wedge in and to create all these externalities that put us fighting against each other so that they can rule. Once we learn that and we come together, once we unite the ghettos, the barrios, and the Appalachia, we solve the problem. So anyhow, I pointed that out. And now in these times, we have the new thing. As you have extracted all from most of the less desirable people based on how the system treats them, what happens? You have to eat your own. But your own was always eaten, they just didn't know, because you gave them the semblance of prosperity through credit. You gave them the semblance of prosperity by the things that they could have, but you took it all away at their deathbed as Medicaid took it back, as Medicaid took it back from their estate. You see, these are things that people don't get because by the time you get there, people are suffering in silence. But even as you get those, you had to come and get from the average white, middle class, white, working class. Why is America in such disarray now? Because the plutocracy is now eating its own. And you know, that's so bad of me to say it that way because the plutocracy is colorless. Have you seen Oprah, Johnson, Beyonce take a heavy role in putting down the most evil president we think we have, Donald Trump. If you had all the money and flushed, wouldn't you be doing something to say that? Think about that. It's a plutocracy. It's a class thing. But race is just a tool for the plutocracy to keep what it has and to continue its extraction. Man, I wish it's an hour show, so I'm not going to change the subject to go into that particular domain. But we have to understand how we are used against each other. But before I answer questions, which I'm coming to handle all the questions that you guys have on the screen, let me go ahead and play. I interviewed Naomi Klein, who wrote, disaster, what is it called? I think it was called Disaster Capitalism or something like that. Let me go ahead and play the interview that I did with her because it was wonderful. Check this out. Now, folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember, share these things, please. It's important because the mainstream media is not going to tell us the truth. They can't. Right now, they're in panic mode that, oh my God, people are getting the actual candidate that they want. People are actually getting the candidate that really intends on transforming the system sufficiently to make your life better. Check this out. I'm here with Politics Done Right and Naomi Klein. Naomi, one of the best writers on progressive media right now. Naomi, I have two questions for you.
All right.
Tell me, what do you think the state of the United States politics right now?
Just a little small question.
Yes.
Look, I think, we're in a moment of extremes, right? We've got a horrific president. We have climate breakdown. We have the fires of fascism spreading around the world. We have within the Democratic Party something I've never seen before. A person worth $64 billion coming in and just trying to buy the election. And at the same time, we have the Bernie Sanders campaign bringing together so many different movements, a truly grassroots campaign. And Bernie is the front runner.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And so, it's just a moment where we have to hold some kind of contradictory truths.
Tell me, you just said contradictory truths. Explain that contradictory truth concept.
Well, because I think it is a moment of profound peril. It's a moment of profound peril, but at the same time, it is a moment of profound possibility. It's never in my lifetime has there been a political campaign that is truly rooted in social movements. Not a politician saying the right things, but actually rooted in social movements that is staffed by lifelong activists, that is led by somebody who has been like the lone politician that would come to the anti-war marches and the climate marches and get arrested. And this is not just my lifetime, it's my parents' lifetime, it's my grandparents' lifetime. So it's the contradictory moment is just that, as Nina Turner says, all that we love is on the line. When it comes to climate change, we're just out of time. Like, we're either going to change things very radically very soon, or we've locked in untenable levels of warming.
Well,
and yet there is all of this possibility. So a lot depends on what we do or fail to do in the next few months.
You created a great segue into. So in closing, tell me, what do you think of about the Bernie Sanders campaign and how moving forward it can really come to fruition? Because there's a lot of headwinds, as you kind of pointed out earlier on.
Look, I think this is a moment where, I think now that Bloomberg is in the race and we're seeing him climb up the polls, look, advertising works. If it didn't work, Tide wouldn't do it. If it didn't work, McDonald's wouldn't do it. And he is advertising himself as if he is just like a consumer product. And a lot of people are honestly just at home watching television. They're not following the political debates, and he's the guy who's reaching them. And so even though we have this unprecedented grassroots funding, because of the level of inequality, which is the reason Bernie is running, to take on the billionaire class, we haven't taken them on yet, and so we have these huge inequalities in the campaign. So I think this is a moment where Bernie is the clear front runner, but there are still a lot of people who identify as progressives who have not yet jumped in with both feet and said, I know what side I'm on. I'm on this, I am standing with Bernie against the billionaires. He is the only one with a clear path to victory. He is the only one who has shown that he can build a multiracial working class coalition.
A movement.
But a movement and a coalition, but this is important because I like Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
I think she is a great politician. She's my second choice.
Right.
But one of the key differences between Bernie and Elizabeth Warren is who supports them. We are here at a rally kickoff event with nurses from the national
who support Medicare for all,
who have been supporting Bernie since 2015, not just 2016.
Right.
But he is supported by nurses. He is supported by teachers. He is supported by Walmart workers. He is supported by fast food workers. He is supported by the most, the workers who have the worst deal in our current economy. And he is also supported by those sectors that are really on the front lines of the attacks on people's right to the basics. Teachers having to teach overcrowded classrooms without supplies. Nurses who are on the front lines of the healthcare crisis. They know that Bernie Sanders is the one they can trust. And so I think it's time for a lot of sort of professional class progressives to take their lead from working people and trust that they know what's best for them, because the numbers do not lie. Working people support Bernie Sanders. Okay, so stop telling working people who they should support and get behind Senator Bernie Sanders, because he actually could be the next president of the United States.
Naomi Klein, thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi Klein. And I have great listeners they can even fix the fog in my brain. My good friend, John, I won't use his last name because I don't know if he wants it used, but reminded me that Naomi Klein's book that I was talking about was not called Disaster Capitalism. It was called The Shock Doctrine, The Shock Doctrine. And he also pointed out something that I should have pointed out that is prescient. He said, everyone wants to talk about how bad Castro was, but Batista was worse. That's who Castro overthrew, was worse, but we don't care because he paid fealty to us. Our bad guys get a pass. And if you notice, Duterte in the Philippines and many other people around the world who are really killing their people, who are really demonstrably harming their folks. We just let it go, and then we talk about Castro. I am no fan of anybody who suppresses its people. But do remember, we have corporations who are suppressing Americans I call it the antiseptic manner of suppression. When you are under the debt of $72,000 for a bill because you happen to get something, you get an illness that has nothing to do with how you treated yourself or whatever. It is wrong. I have some interviews from a whole lot of Bernie Sanders supporters that I won't be subsequently releasing. One guy had to say, I have this problem. I lived a good life. I exercised. I did all that they told me to do. I got ill. Why should I, in a society that cares about us all, why should I be sentenced to poverty just because of luck? When we have a society to mitigate bad luck happening to any one of us individually. You see, individualism only works when things are going well. When people talk about we Americans, we are individualists. We like to do things on our own, really? Until things go bad. Anyhow, let me talk to my peeps. Hey guys, the phone system, I noticed I didn't put the phone up because the phone system is not yet resolved. I have some issues with it. I'll get that fixed sometime. Hey, Bruce, let me first call out all my great friends here. Bruce Ballard, Michael Rudnin, David Day, Lawrence Sims, and if I missed you, just type it in. Maurice Carlisle, let's see who else we have here. Mike Cizak, my conservative buddy. Let's see who else is here. We have that are commenting. That is TCB 101. Respect to you too, brother. May Wood, welcome aboard. Daniel Reed, welcome aboard. Para ver, Lee Viager, welcome aboard. Love all you guys. Let me tell you something, folks. Here's the deal. I know people put messages all over, right? Here's the problem. I can only see your messages immediately if you put it, if you actually watch the show. If you're on Facebook watching the show, go to my actual page, the facebook.com/politics done right. Then I can see anything that you post. Of course, I can see everything that the YouTube people post. I can see everything that the Periscope people post as well. All right, let's see. Michael Rudnan said, been a while. Michael Rudnan, where the hell have you been, my brother? You've been missed. David Day, Bernie will never be president. David, let's see about that. You could be right. I don't think you are. Michael Rudnan says, Bernie or vest. Hey, está bien, hermano. Lawrence Sims says, prayers for you and your family. Brother Brother Lawrence Sims, I thank you so kindly for having always had kind words, sir. Bruce, my brother and supporter of the show always, both KPFT and Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly, Bruce, for putting your hard-earned dollars to support the causes of many. You should be rewarded. I thank you so kindly. They will have more choices once they're in only one network. So true. And I want to expand on that, folks, because when we talk about choices, this is important. The fallacy and the gullibility that they tell you, the reason people want private insurance is because they want to have choices. I have a better narrative for you, brothers and sisters, and I want you to use this to everybody. If you have slave owner number 1, slave owner number 2, slave owner number 3, slave owner number 4, and then they say, guess what? You have a choice of who is going to be your slave owner, your slave master. That is what having choices in health insurance is all about. Which option will you have to screw you? Because remember, the reason you have many insurance companies and what they're doing is something called, and I want you to listen to this very well, people. It is called, insurance companies do something called, they are managing risk. Managing risk mean bring in as many healthy people and not bring in sick people. Pay as little as possible with the laws, with the bylaws you wrote for your insurance policy to ensure that you have to pay out the least amount of money so that you and your shareholders can get as much money of the premiums that people give you. A middleman. No other purpose is there for a private insurance company. It is a racket. It is a legal scam that the government has allowed for something that should be a right. Which slave master do you want to have? We have to start speaking graphically so that our people understand. When the plutocracy write these words, they get firms to write these things down so that it sounds plausible. Choice, competition. There's no competition among insurance companies. The competition is you. The competition is for picking whichever one of you are healthy and dumping the rest. And then Biden and these others want to dump the rest on something called a public option. And when that becomes the more expensive option because it's full of sick people, they then say, you see, the private sector works better. When the private sector cherry-picked healthy people and threw the sick people into the public option. Folks, we cannot be snowed. We have to have national, one system to pay our bills, with private doctors that allows your doctor to decide based on his training what medicine best is for you, as opposed to one of your slave master insurance companies. From now on, anytime you think private insurance company, I want you to think slave master. Why do I want you to think slave master? If you want to get a drug, you ask them if you can. If you want to see a doctor, you ask them if you can. If you want to go to a hospital, you ask them if you can. You have no free will, no matter which master you choose. Sell it the way it must be sold, truthfully. continuing. Thank you for bringing that up, Bruce, because it gave me the segue to say that. Lawrence Sim, Faith Purse, thank you, brother. Okay, Michael Rudnin, after the show, you want to see the media, Chris Matthews in part. I will do that, sir. Thank you for being back again, Michael Rudnin. Maurice Carlisle from Periscope. Joy Reid can't stand Bernie. I know that. Castro did good things. Yes, he did good things. He did bad things like any other leader. Now, we made sure that Castro couldn't succeed. America makes sure that a whole lot of countries with policies that differ from us, or that refuse to do business with us, or that want to restrict how we do business, they all pay the price because we control the economic system of the world through the networks of finance that we control. Now, China, believe it or not, is building alternative systems. And guess what? They're in Africa, they're in South America, they're in Central America. So as we fight wars, as we hurt our people, they are building goodwill. Whether they're good or bad, we don't know. Such as education and healthcare. So far, you know, you're so right about that, Maurice Caldwell. Like I told people earlier, people who looked like me in Cuba earlier on were sweeping the floors or singing. That's all people who looked like me cared for. Now we're doctors, lawyers, engineers. Mira, yo sé de eso porque eso pasaba por toda Latinoamérica. Está bien. Remember that. All right, young people can't have that Bernie or bust. No, we cannot, Lawrence. I'm with you, and that is a reason for this program. There ain't going to be no Bernie or bust if I can really play a part in how we're going to do this. We all have to bring in all our brothers and sisters. I'm talking about the ones that support all the other candidates and Republicans and Democrats. And I'm not talking some Republicans and some Democrats. I'm going for everybody, baby. Even my brother Mike Cisak. Democracy is a description. Yes, I know. Minority doesn't lose. What happened is there are various different minorities very different groups get put together for different things. Michael Rudnin says, Poland indicates 19% lead. I knew this was coming days in advance. Poland 9-point leads. There won't be a rigged election in Nevada. Looking forward to Saturday. In Nevada, rival campaigns privately concede the race is second and third. Yes, sir. Okay, Michael Rudnin, I'm coming close to the end, so let me start from the bottom and come on up. Michael Rudnin replying to May Wood. I'm going to leave that to you. I want to see if there's anybody who's like, let's see. Warren 2020, the only candidate with solid, viable, and comprehensive plans that include POCs. Organic Soul Music, welcome aboard. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm going to tell you, support your candidate. I don't know if you're a brother or sister. Just support your candidate with all the passion you can, and allow others to do the same, and allow yourself the space in your mind to talk to each other. John Doe says, ask these elected officials if they will choose to give up their health care. They currently have the health care that Bernie wants everyone to have, and to my understanding, it's the Cadillac plan. Oh boy. Yes, we must do that. We are coming to the end of the show right now, folks. I want to thank you so kindly for having stayed with me, for listening to me, for sharing these. It's imperative, folks, brothers and sisters. The mainstream media is in hyper mode, trying to discredit Bernie Sanders and, by inference, Elizabeth Warren. Let's not allow that. Let's not allow that. Let's go ahead and do what's right. Let's not allow gullibility to reign. We are better than that. Again, please support the program. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and shop with us, go ahead and go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Support us. I would love for you to become subscribers. The truth of the matter is we need a whole lot of subscribers. So I put that link in there again. Patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, or you can just go to politicsdoneright.com and see all the options. You can make sure to support these shows. I want to thank you so kindly for being with me. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what?